When the mind is perfectly purified by this practice of yoga, one should concentrate on the tip of the nose with half closed eyes and see the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, we are studying Lord Kapila's instructions on devotional service. So, previous verse we had discussed about by meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can become free from the three modes of material attachment. So one has to become purified in the body. Physiological condition has to be purified by pranayam. Then by meditation, one has to become free from sinful activities by concentrating the mind. Then by restraining the senses, one has to free himself from material association. And now from the three modes. So in this way one has to become purified. And we have discussed that how Lord explains these purifications in practical way. Now next step comes is when the mind is perfectly purified by this practice of yoga. Means asana, pranayam, dharana, dhyan. All these activities are meant to purify the mind. Then next step comes is one should concentrate on the tip of the nose with half closed eyes and see the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in the Ashtanga Yoga process or the process of devotional service by practice of the yogic meditation, one becomes eligible to meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead only after purification. That is the prerequisite. That is a prerequisite that you have to first purify. Ashtanga Yoga and Gyan Yoga, means Dhyan Yoga and Gyan Yoga, essentially require one to take sannyas. Without taking sannyas, one cannot practice Gyan Yoga or Dhyan Yoga. That's the essential requirement. And sannyas has to be taken only after this purification happens. One does not go to forest and become purified. One first becomes purified, then goes to the forest. If one takes to sannyas without such purification, then he is an impostor. Mithyachari, he is referred to as Mithyachari in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Because he is still attached to material desires and he has taken up the order of sannyasa. So first requirement is to become purified. And as we discussed in the previous verse, purification from happiness, distress, cold, hot, honor, dishonor, influence of three modes. One has to become purified from all these things. Now, next step is that you have to meditate on the Supreme Lord. So now your mind will be fixed on the Supreme Lord. Even if there's some tinge of material attraction which is pulling away the mind, again and again one has to bring back his mind on the meditation of the Supreme Lord. Now, particularly here, Prabhupada is emphasizing in the purport on meditating on the Paramatma. The word Kashtam refers to Paramatma, the expansion of Vishnu. Okay. As mentioned in the previous verses, Purusharchanam, this Purusha is represented as the Paramatma or Super Soul. So the description of the super soul upon whom one must meditate will be given in the following verses. So it is very clear that sannyas is comprised of two words, sat and nyas. By doing sandhi, sat and nyas, it becomes sannyas. So sat means supreme absolute truth. Who is the supreme absolute truth? Lord Krishna. Here Prabhupada says the supreme Godhead is Krishna. From him come many expansions. So those who are Vaishnava sannyasis, they fix their mind on the supreme absolute truth, Krishna. He is Sat or Param Satya. Those who are Dhyan yogis, they fix their mind on the expansion of Supreme Lord Krishna, that is Paramatma. He is also Sat. Right? So they are also called sannyasis. And those who are Gyan yogis, they fix their mind on Brahman, which is also considered Sat, eternal. So all three sannyasis essentially require to meditate on either Brahman or Paramatma or Bhagwan. So all three are, that in that sense, they are sannyasis. But the perfect sannyasi is one who fixes his mind on Krishna. So now, here the emphasis is given on meditating on Vishnu, because that's the process of yoga. Bhagwan cannot be attained without devotional service, without rendering devotional service. So when one meditates on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Paramatma, in Bhagavad Gita, meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Paramatma is also explained. Meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Bhagwan is also explained. Now, in Bhagavad Gita, with respect to this, there is Achintya Bheda Tattva mentioned. Lord says in 15th chapter, Sarvasya Chaham Vriddhi Sannivishto. In everybody's heart, I am situated as the super soul. And I give the remembrance, forgetfulness, intelligence, Matta Smritar Jnanam Apohanam Cha, knowledge I give. So, Lord says that super soul is myself. I am sitting. Aham Sannivishta. Nivishta means located. Sannivishta means firmly situated, fixed there in their heart. So, in everybody's heart, the same Bhagwan who is talking to Arjun, Lord Krishna, is saying, I am seated in everybody's heart. Now, interesting point in Bhagavad Gita is that in one place, Lord says, I am that super soul. In another place, Lord differentiates that super soul from himself. So, in 18th chapter, 61st verse, Lord starts addressing super soul as a third person. In 15th chapter, what he says? I am the super soul. Correct? In 6th chapter also, Lord says that one who sees, a yogi who knows that I and the super soul within all creatures are one. So I am seated as super soul, and the yogi who knows I and the super soul seated in all the creatures are one. Means myself and that super soul are the same person. Worships me and remains always in me in all circumstances. So in one place, two places, Krishna is saying that I am that super soul. But now suddenly Krishna, means Lord, he starts differentiating the super soul from him. So he says, the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart. Here, this specific use of words, Ishvaraha Sarvabhutanam Riddeshe Arjuna Tishtati. Supreme Lord is situated in everybody's heart. Now he is not saying, I am situated in everybody's heart. Right? O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. So there is a Supreme Lord seated in everybody's heart. What you should do? Next verse says, O scion of Bharata, surrender unto him utterly. So there is one Paramatma, you go and surrender to that Paramatma utterly. By his grace. But when Krishna is saying in the 6th chapter that I am the same, then why Krishna is saying surrender unto him and by his grace? He could have said surrender unto me there and I will, by my grace you will get it. Many places Krishna says that I am seated in everybody's heart. Right? So there is a differentiation. What is that differentiation? Now we'll continue reading. By his grace you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and eternal abode. Next verse Krishna says, Iti te jnanam akyatam guhyat guhyataram maya. Thus I have explained to you the most confidential of all knowledge. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do. Now in this purport, Prabhupada explains, there is confidential, more confidential and most confidential knowledge. The Lord has already explained to Arjuna the knowledge of Brahma Bhuta. One who is in this Brahma Bhuta condition is joyful. He never laments nor does he desire anything. That is due to confidential knowledge. Guhya Gyan. Krishna also discloses the knowledge of the super soul. This is also Brahman knowledge, but knowledge of Brahman, it is knowledge of Brahman, but it is superior. This is Guhyatar Gyan. So, when it comes to surrender, one has to surrender to Krishna as the supreme person This is the highest or the most confidential knowledge. Surrender to the super soul is also surrender to the Supreme Lord only, but that is more confidential. That is one step below surrendering to the Supreme Personality of God. Now, Krishna said, till now, summary is, there is a super soul in everybody's heart. Surrender unto him. This is more confidential knowledge. Guhyataram. Now Krishna says, Sarva guhyatamam bhuya shrunu me paramam vacha. Now I will tell you the most confidential of all knowledge till now, whatever I have said. Because, translation, because you are my very dear friend, I am speaking to you the most confidential part of knowledge. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit. And immediately he says, Man mana bhav mad bhakto. Always think of me, not of the super soul. This is the most confidential knowledge. So super soul and Krishna are same. But when it comes to meditation, highest form of meditation is meditating on the Bhagwan, your Shyam Sundar form of the Lord, which is even considered to be more confidential than meditating on the same Lord as Paramatma seated in the heart. So now he says, always think of me and become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. So here, in the purport, Prabhupada says, these words stress that one should concentrate his mind upon Krishna, the very form with two hands carrying a flute and the bluish boy with a beautiful face and peacock feathers in his hair. There are descriptions of Krishna found in the Brahma Samhita and other literatures. One should fix his mind on this original form of Godhead Krishna. He should not even divert his attention to other forms of the Lord. The Lord has multi forms as Vishnu, Narayana, Rama, Vara, etc. But a devotee should concentrate his mind on the form that was present before Arjuna. Concentration of the mind on the form of Krishna constitutes the most confidential part of knowledge. This is the most confidential part of knowledge. So meditating on the Shyam Sundar form, the form of Bhagwan Krishna as present before Arjuna is the most confidential. So further, and this is disclosed to Arjuna because Arjuna is the most dear friend of Krishna's. So in this way, Prabhupada explains that the highest form of meditation or the highest goal of meditation is Bhagwan. So eventually those who are Ashtanga yogis, now here the process is given for Ashtanga yogis, that how Ashtanga yogis enter into Bhakti. Right, all these procedures are mentioned by yogic process, how one approaches Krishna. So first here it is said that meditate on the Kashtam. Kashtam means the Paramatma one has to meditate. But eventually, see, those who approach Brahman, they are in Sat. Sat means eternal existence. They are free from material body, this which is called Asat, temporary. They are free from the cycle of birth and death, which is called Asat existence, Asat Astitva. Temporary existence, because repeatedly we have to accept a body and discard it. Repeatedly birth and death cycle goes on. So they are all free from this. So they have attained the a post or position of Sat, eternal existence. There's no more birth, death, there's no more change, no more development or deterioration of body, nothing happens, no changes. But they don't have complete knowledge. That's why they are considered only Sat, not Chit and Anand. What is knowledge? Their assumption is Vimukta Manina. So assumption, Manina means assumption. Their assumption is that I am Supreme Brahman. I have merged into Brahman and I have become Supreme Brahman. That is their assumption. So they are lacking the actual knowledge or exact knowledge of the soul, that actually I am part and parcel of Krishna. I am not a Supreme Brahman. I am just a part and parcel of Krishna. I don't have an independent existence. But those who enter into Brahman, they think that is their ignorance. They think that I have become Supreme Brahman now. So they are experienced only of Sat. Krishna blesses them with no birth, no death, no transformation, no repeated cycle. Those who are meditating on Paramatma, they have one more added feature, that is Chit. Chit means they know I am not the Supreme, I have to approach the Supreme. So they have eternal existence because they know I am the soul. I have nothing to do with this material creation. I am not bound with this body. I am not bound by anything. I am liberated soul. But at the same time, I am not the supreme soul. There is a supreme soul above me, that is super soul or Paramatma. So they have knowledge that I am not the supreme. I am subordinate to that Paramatma. This much knowledge they have. So they don't consider themselves the supreme Lord. They may display yogic shaktis, yogic powers, mystic powers, but they know that I am not independent. But they're attached to these things. So at least they have this much knowledge that soul is not supreme Brahman. Soul is just a Brahman. There is Para-Brahman above this soul. But then those who are devotees, they have another added feature, that is Sat, Chit and Anand. What is that Anand? They have a devotional connection. They have a devotional relationship with the Supreme Lord. In that devotional relationship, they serve joyfully. They serve the Lord joyfully. And in return, Lord gives them transcendental pleasure, transcendental bliss. And that's what is called as Sat, Chit and Anand. So Anand feature is missing. So those who meditate on the Paramatma, eventually they have to go further and, okay, I am Brahman, there is Supreme Brahman above me. What is my relationship with that Brahman and how am I supposed to execute that relationship with the Brahman? This part of knowledge is missing. So when they understand, so here Krishna says, the yogi who knows that I am the super soul within all creatures, I and the super soul within all creatures are one, worships me and remains always in me in all circumstances. So they have to eventually realize that the super soul is expansion of Supreme Lord Krishna, and I am eternal servant of Supreme Lord Krishna. I am supposed to serve Krishna. When this relationship establishes, he enters into the Sat Chit Anand realm. So this is the yogic process of connecting with the Supreme Lord. First realize that I am Brahman, Brahma Bhuta stage. After Brahma Bhuta, next stage comes is more confidential. There is Paramatma. I am not independent. And then above Paramatma, there is Bhagwan, right? Sarvasya Aham Sarvasya Prabhu, who is the creator of all the spiritual and material worlds. And his part and parcel I am. This is the step-by-step process of yoga to approach the Supreme Lord Krishna. Then there is another process which directly connects us with the Supreme Lord Krishna, that is the Bhakti Yoga. From the day one itself, one is connected with the Supreme Lord by devotional service. In whatever situation one is and whatever he can do, yat karoshi, yat juhoshi. So whatever one can do, he is guided, he is trained to do it for Krishna, and in this way, directly he connects with Krishna, even without prerequisite of any purification. Right? So this is what we are discussing. When the mind is perfectly purified by the practice of yoga, so one need not undergo the process of purification through yoga, but when one directly engages in the service, authorized devotional service of the Supreme Lord. Authorized devotional service is very important because without that, purification will not happen. One will develop more anarthas. So there is direct process which Krishna allows, that one can directly enter into Bhakti Yoga. So very nicely Prabhupada explains this, that one can avoid all this trouble of step by step which takes Bahunam Janmanam Ante. Just for a Brahman realized person to come to Vasudeva Sarvamiti, many births. In one lecture, Prabhupada says thousands of births it will take, thousands. So it may take so much time. But now, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord says, in all activities, just depend upon me and work always under my protection. So in all activities, just depend upon Krishna and work under Krishna's protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. Though engaged in all kinds of activities, my devotee under my protection reaches the eternal and imperishable abode by my grace. So just by working for Krishna, one can attain Krishna's abode. But what is the condition? Condition is to work under Krishna's protection, under Krishna's direction. Now Prabhupada explains this in the purport. Now one may argue that Arjuna was acting under the personal direction of Krishna. But when Krishna is not present, how should one act? Correct? Because Krishna says, under my direction, under my protection. So when Krishna is not present, how should one act? If one acts according to the direction of Krishna in this book, as well as under the guidance of the representative of Krishna, then the result will be the same. So either you take up the long process of yogic purification or you take up the process of direct devotional service, but how? Strictly under the representative of Krishna. Otherwise, it's not considered pure devotional service. Again, it will take many births. As long as we have independent mood of acting, it will take many births. Okay. So further, the Sanskrit word mat paraha is very important in this verse. It indicates that one has no goal in life save and except acting in Krishna consciousness just to satisfy Krishna. Just to satisfy Krishna. Okay. First thing. What is first condition? My all activity should be just to satisfy Krishna. This is the first thing. Okay. Under direction of the spiritual master. Next. And while working in that way, one should think of Krishna only. I have been appointed to discharge this particular duty by Krishna. Okay, so whatever service we have been given, I have been appointed to discharge this particular duty by Krishna. So when one, actually in this section or in even anywhere we see in Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, we'll come to this again. 7th chapter, Lord says, I'll give you phenomenal and nominal knowledge. Phenomenal and nominal knowledge. Gyan and Vigyan, I'll give you. And after knowing that, there will be nothing else left to be known. Isn't it? We have read that. So what is that phenomenal and nominal knowledge? I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and nominal, by knowing which there shall remain nothing further to be known. This chapter is titled as Knowledge of the Absolute. What is that knowledge of the Absolute? If you carefully read after this third verse is Manushyanam Saseshu. From verse number 4th to verse number 12. Only how many? 9 verses are there. Krishna gives that knowledge only in 9 verses. Chapter has 30 verses. Rest all Krishna is talking about who receives, who is eligible, who is not eligible, qualified, disqualified. What is that knowledge? That knowledge given only in 9 verses. And in these 9 verses, Krishna is teaching how to see Krishna in everything. Now if you just recall in a small flash, I am the taste of water. So how, when you're drinking water, how you have to see Krishna in everything? Because Krishna says, I am hidden in everything. Sutre manigana eva. All the pearls are strung on a thread. I am that thread. A thread is invisible. Now how, Arjuna, I am training you how to see that thread in everything, which is holding everything. So I am the light and heat of sun. I am the light of moon. I am the capabilities of this. Porusham Nishu. Porusham means capability of the man, intelligence of the intelligent, and so many things he keeps telling. So Lord is explaining how to see him everywhere. Now, when we are working in Krishna service, devotional service, again we have to recall how to see my service through Krishna consciousness perspective, KC perspective. So this is how one has to see. I have to do that service under Guru's direction, who is representative of Krishna. I have to do only for satisfaction of Krishna. Third, I have been engaged by Krishna in this service. Right? So seeing Krishna in everything, then it makes devotional service as devotional service. Otherwise it will become karma yoga. You are doing your action for Krishna, but your mind or your consciousness is not fixed on Krishna in that service. Then it is not devotional service. It is just karma yoga. It will burn your sins. It will free you from sinful reactions or karma bondage. But developing love of God or developing connection with Krishna will be missing. Right? So this is the purpose of yoga. So third point is, I have been appointed to discharge this particular duty by Krishna. While acting in such a way, one naturally has to think of Krishna. This is perfect Krishna consciousness. So along with action, mind and intelligence are also fixed on Krishna. That is what is called as devotional service. One should, however, note, fourth point, one should, however, note that after doing something whimsically, he should not offer the result to the Supreme Lord. So fourth point is, one should not act whimsically. Okay. That sort of duty is not in the devotional service of Krishna consciousness. One should act according to the order of Krishna. This is a very important point. The order of Krishna comes through disciplic succession from the bona fide spiritual master. Therefore, the spiritual master's order should be taken as the prime duty of life. If one gets a bona fide spiritual master and acts according to his direction, then his perfection of life in Krishna consciousness is guaranteed. This is the second process of fixing mind on Krishna by devotional service. So, which is possible only by strictly acting under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. Devotional service cannot be independent of the order of the spiritual master. So what the yogis are supposed to practice as per this third canto, as per the instructions of Lord Kapila, what the yogis are supposed to practice with severe austerities and rigid processes, very rigorous processes of purification, a devotee can very simply do that just by engaging in devotional service under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. And in this way, he will attain the same most confidential knowledge, most confidential part. We are working for Sri Sri Radha Madhav. Right? So our mind is fixed on Bhagwan, the Shyam Sundar form which was present before Arjuna. This is the highest meditation for us. So engaging our services and mind intelligence at the same time. That's why Lord Krishna says in many places, not just one place. 8th chapter he says, Tasma sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yuddhacha. What is the next line? Mai arpito mano buddhir. So it's not just fighting for Krishna, it is also engaging mind and intelligence in Krishna. Mai buddhi nivesha. Another place he says, Mai buddhi nivesha. I'll just read. And very interestingly, Prabhupada, when translating it, Prabhupada has mentioned, Mam anusmara means remembering me. Now, how Prabhupada is translated? Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me. Mam anusmara. Prabhupada has added one more phrase to that. In the form of Krishna. Correct? Then only you will come to me. What Krishna says here? Mam evaishyasi asamshayaha. To go to Krishna, there cannot be any other substitute than thinking of Krishna means Krishna only. Right? Thinking of Krishna means as Krishna only. Then only wherever Krishna says Mam evaishyasi means he says surrender unto me. But if you see in the 18th chapter we are reading, Krishna says surrender unto him utterly. There Krishna doesn't say you surrender unto Paramatma and you will come to me. He says you will attain Shashvat Santyam. So I'll just read that. Very interesting pointing out Prabhupada has done there. O Sayan of Bharata, surrender unto him means to Paramatma. If you surrender to Paramatma, where will you go? Eternal abode. Eternal abode, Prabhupada explains as Vaikuntha in the Purport. If you surrender to Krishna directly, you go to Mam upektetu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. Man manabha madbhakto madhyajim namaskaru. Mam evaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. Mam evaishyasi and Shashva Shantim Nigachit. They are different. Correct? Here it is written. Sthanam prapsasi Shashvatam. Prabhupada says that Parampadam specifically refers to eternal abode, which is called the spiritual sky or Vaikuntha. In the purport, Prabhupada says he'll go to Vaikuntha. So Krishna means only Krishna, nobody else. This is the highest form of meditation. So when we engage in devotional service, thinking about Krishna, right, the way Prabhupada is taught in that 18th chapter, 56th, 57th purport, we'll attain. One more verse, one more reference is there with respect to meditating on Krishna. When there's discussion on Mahatma in 9th chapter. Mahatma nastu mam partha devim prakritim ashrita. Bhajanti ananya manaso gyatva bhutatim avyam. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me. So knowing Krishna means absolutely knowing who is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. As the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Knowing Krishna as the Adi Purusham or the original. Right? This is complete knowledge. So those who know this are totally free from delusion. Right? Those who are not deluded, the great souls. So Mahatmas are referred to as not deluded, the great souls. Now, the purport of this Mahatma verse, second paragraph, Prabhupada says, the Mahatma does not divert his attention to anything outside Krishna because he knows perfectly well that Krishna is the original supreme person, the cause of all causes. Okay. There is no doubt about it. Such a Mahatma or great soul develops through association with other Mahatmas or pure devotees. Pure devotees are not even attracted by Krishna's other features, such as four-armed Mahavishnu. They are simply attracted by the two-armed form of Krishna. Since they are not attracted to other features of Krishna, what to speak of the demigods, they are not concerned with any form of a demigod or of a human being. So Mahatma is actually not attracted to any demigod, any human being. He is attracted only to, specifically to, the form of Krishna. Right? So they only meditate upon Krishna in Krishna consciousness. They are always engaged in the unswerving service of the Lord in Krishna consciousness. So this is the process of meditation for a Bhakti Yogi. But that does not mean why we are worshipping other forms. Prabhupada very nicely. This is also clarified by Prabhupada. Right? Sometimes devotees, they do not understand the complete picture or proper picture. So they question, then why do we worship other forms of the Lord? So Prabhupada explains this also in 14th chapter. One should not be disturbed by the modes of nature. Instead of putting his consciousness into such activities, he may transfer his consciousness to Krishna activities. Krishna activities are known as Bhakti Yoga, always acting for Krishna. This includes not only Krishna but his different plenary expansions such as Rama and Narayana. He has innumerable expansions, one who is engaged in the service of any of the forms of Krishna. He has innumerable expansions, one who is engaged in the service of any of the forms of Krishna, or his plenary expansions, is considered to be transcendentally situated. So it should not be taken in a material perspective that, oh, Krishna is only Krishna, we should not worship other. This is an offensive mentality or offensive understanding. All are Krishna's expansion. Same Krishna in different moods, different forms is present to bless the devotees, and engaging in pure devotional service as described by Prabhupada in any of the forms is 100% transcendental activity, is considered to be Bhakti Yoga or Krishna conscious activity. Right? So we'll stop here. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.